tonight.
Okay, sounds like a plan. All right. We'll go ahead and call to order the Planning Commission meeting for tonight. Today is May, excuse me. Every day is running into itself now. May 5th. And we'll go ahead and get started. We've got all 7 planning commissioners accounted for. First item on the agenda tonight is our minutes from the previous meeting of April 21st. Any discussion or conversation or motions regarding these minutes?
I'll move that we go ahead.
Go ahead, Ammon.
I move that we approve the minutes from the April 21st, 2020 meeting.
Thank you. And I'm assuming, go ahead, Jay.
I'll go ahead and second it.
So we have a motion by Commissioner Allen, seconded by Commissioner Thomas to approve the minutes from April 21st. Any discussion to the motion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I don't see any, so we are unanimous in approving those minutes. The next item up is the Les Schwab Tire Center final site plan. Mr. McCandless, we'll let you go ahead and handle this one since it's a business item. Is Ray around? Can we poke him somewhere?
No, I'm here.
There we go. Excellent.
I couldn't get my cursor to click on the unmute button. Thank you. I'm going to share my screen.
Please do.
That's all right. All right, is it there?
Yeah, we're good.
Good. Thank you. This is a business item. Les Schwab, I guess it's been over a year now, had come in initially and wanted to build a new tire center out at 5796 West, 7800 South, just west of the Smiths. And over time, we've been looking at a number of different plans and a number of changes to the plan that was initially submitted. So they're back in now requesting just approval of a revised site plan. And so what I'd like to do is just go through those plans now. This is just the location of the site to refresh your memories. Here's the Smiths right here. So this is just west of the Smiths on 7800 South. This was the previously approved site plan. It had service bays on both sides here with parking around on the north side and then parking here out in front of each of the service bay or banks of service bay. The access was provided off of Highlands Loop Road and off of 7800 South as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to toggle back and forth between the previously approved site plan and then what they're proposing now and just kind of walk you through some of the things that they're looking at. I know that the applicant, Zach Graham, is available for comments or questions if you have them. So here's the previously approved site plan, and this is the proposed site plan. So what they've done is they've narrowed up the building here. And now all of the service bays are going to be located on the west side of the building. And then what they've also done is put in what they call a bullpen here, which is basically storage for tires until they can be removed from the site. So I've got just some photographs of what that'll look like from that, that side. But as you can see, there's a stormwater detention pond that's been added here to this side of the site. And then all the parking now is just going to be out in front of the 6 service bays on the west side of the building. As you'll notice, the access hasn't changed at all. There's a dumpster located here. There's a sidewalk that'll connect into the existing sidewalk, so it's got good pedestrian access. And let's see, there's the site access. This is the landscape plan. The detention area is located here. There'll be street trees and plantings out in front of the building. one area that we did mention in the staff report that we'd like to see a little additional landscaping is here is like a seed mix that'll be planted along here, but we're just concerned that over time it may have issues with it, just in terms of being maintained or kept up. So in an email exchange, and I think the applicant can go into it a little more detail, they've are talking about relocating 3 of these trees here and to this back area along the back. And so we really don't see an issue with that. We just thought it would be better just to dress that up a little bit.
Hey, Ray,
Yeah,
behind that still zoned residential, correct? On the north side of that?
let me go back.
I know west of it is that, so yeah, the site that's directly north of the site.
Up here it is. You
Okay.
see where my cursor is? That's all
Yeah.
residential up there, but there's still a big chunk of SC2 or commercial property that's
Oh,
just
okay.
on the other side of that.
So we're not too worried about the buffering between homes and business right there.
No.
Okay.
Well, but I think it's good to follow Ray's guidance on the landscaping because Peterson may propose in the
Sure.
future.
I was more worried about needing more or less, but I think what Ray's provided is as long as we're going to have more business along the north side.
Right. So I'm sorry this turned out a little bit blurry. It was kind of a cut and paste, but it gives you an idea of what the proposed building will look like. Here's the 6 service bays that are here. You can see it'd be kind of a variety of materials that'll be used on the building. This is CMU block. There'll be a gray band or darker gray band that'll be put up along above the windows here, and then a different coloring here. And I think that'll be a nice addition that kind of breaks it up a bit. And there's a covering over the entrance, bike racks out front as required by the code. This is looking at it west to east. These are the service bays. This is what you would see from 7800 South. This is the back of the building, and that bullpen that I was talking about earlier, that's located right here. That's just the dumpster detail. And just to give you an idea of what again, those elevations are. It's a little kind of hard to see with all these numbers here, but but I think this gives you a good idea of what's proposed. There's some trellises on this side to break up those flat wall planes, and I think that'll dress up that side of the building. So with that, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those, or if you have any questions for the applicant, you can bring them in.
Great. Any questions for Ray? Or anything that you want to specifically address with the applicant?
I had a question either for Ray or for the applicant on that little strip section there that we want to move those trees to. Is that going to be grass or is that going to be gravel?
That's going to be that's going to be the seed mix. Along here,
Okay.
so it's going to be neither.
Chair, may I?
Please.
This proposed site plan is I shouldn't say much better. The last one wasn't bad, but this really has improved a lot with the changes. I really like what you're doing and how everything is consolidated. I really think this is a great improvement. Thank you.
Chair, I've got a handful of questions for staff. That's all right.
Yeah, fire away.
Sure.
Hey, with the entrance off of 7800 South, if you'll move to the next slide where it shows the landscaping.
Right here.
There we are. That tree that's closest to the entrance from 7800 South, I worry that is going to block views either from those leaving the site or those trying to enter into the site. Is that a tree? I didn't see a
Right here.
legend. Yes.
Right here. Yeah, that's a tree. We have those are pretty common all over around the city. Typically once the tree matures out a little bit, those branches are up high. The branches are up high and the foliage is up high enough to where it's not an issue. And when they're pretty small, you can typically see around those, but we have street trees that are like that all over the city in the park strip. So I really don't see that as an issue.
Okay, thank you. Also, is that So is that going to be a right turn only off of 7800 South?
On this side, oops. I think it is.
My recollection, at least, is that there's a median in that area that you wouldn't be able to cross over.
It looks like the applicant is saying right in, right out. So Ray, you're correct on that.
Yeah. It's right in, right out.
Great. Ammon, you're on mute.
There we go. That better?
Here we go. Now I can hear you.
Now we can hear you again.
Okay, thank you. Sometimes the space button works, sometimes not so much. Moving north off of the site, is that intended to continue into further development in the future?
Yes, that'll be for future commercial development.
Okay. I have seen before, and I apologize, I wasn't here for the last time this went through, so maybe this has already been discussed. But a lot of these types of facilities often get a lot of business, which is absolutely wonderful for them. But I find that they get so much business that the parking that's available on site isn't normally enough, and they'll get people that are parking along those arterial roads. Do we have any concerns with that in this particular area, especially with some of it looks like they still have the 26 parking stalls, but can additional parking stalls remain along that north area to help lessen that fear?
Well, in this case, they're not going to be able to. Nobody's going to be able to park along 78th along Highlands Loop Road. Doubt parking is going to be there, but keep in mind that this will develop out as other commercial pad sites, and so typically, if there's too many, parking or too much parking that's on one, typically they'll move over to another site or another pad site to offset that. So it's kind of I just don't see a concern with that as long as the parking requirement is met for this use, and it is.
Okay, and I agree with that. If this is what the code says that they need for parking, and they're obviously exceeding that, I think by 2 stalls, if I remember right, that's good. With the stormwater pond, I didn't see that originally. Concerns with any oil, other materials getting into that pond?
I don't know if Nate is here.
Nate's not joining us tonight, and so
Okay.
but it has to follow our process and our engineering standards, as far as oil water separators and that type of thing. So that'll all be monitored as part of our stormwater plan. So
Perfect. I was going to ask about an oil water separator, so you're already ahead of me on that. Coming off of 7800 South, it was difficult for me to see. Is that are we showing a deceleration lane in order to pull over and turn there?
I don't think so. I don't think there's a deceleration lane there. I'm wondering if I've got the aerial, if that shows it.
Hey, Ray.
Yeah.
It seems like some of these questions might be best answered if we let the applicant address them directly. He's been chiming in on a couple of the comments, saying that he can help address, and I think Ammon's questions might be better answered specifically by someone who's a little bit more familiar with the site. Let's bring him on, but I'm not sure I can do that.
This is Zach Graham. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. It doesn't look like I can share my screen. Yeah, thank you all. I guess number one, just appreciate the continued business. We're all getting pretty good at Zoom, so very much appreciate you all meeting in this manner. Yeah, that 7800 South, there was an overall plan and offsite improvements, including a median extension and everything that was done by Peterson Development, the underlying developer on this property. And that's what really designated that entrance there as a right in, right out, and limited it there. So the full access is for both of these lots is really over there, over on Highland Loop Road. And then just one comment on that northern development. You'll notice in the northwest corner there, we're providing a access right up to the property line. And that was in conjunction with Peterson Development and their overall development plan, as well as it's zoned similarly, and actually just to the west of there. And it goes like the very north. Yeah, that right there. And that was put in as part of a development agreement with Peterson Development, to provide access to a similarly zoned property to the north there as they develop that. I think one thing just to affirm in terms of the total number of parking spaces, I mean, part of what you're seeing here is Les Schwab taking a step back and looking at their overall operations and what works best for the building. But they also, if you look at some of their older developments, they have too much parking and there's actually a lot of empty parking. So this is an effort to address that, but it is correct. There's still more than the minimum required. And this is really what they think is actually more than what they think they need to operate. So addressing that. And then on the stormwater pond and oil and other materials, the outlet of the stormwater pond does go to a sand oil separator that's located basically directly north of the property, or north on the property, north of the pond. You can kind of see even north of, all the way up there. So we're piping the outlet to there, it goes through a sand oil separator, and then that discharges to the east to the public system. So we're addressing the stormwater quality requirements there. And from a standpoint of oil or other things, there's another sand oil separator just to the west of the service bays there. And that's actually for the trench drains in the service bays. And so that'll discharge there, go through there. And then that goes to sanitary sewer, not storm sewer. But just to kind of point out that the stormwater pond's behind the building and really away from direct exposure of potential contaminants like that, even though we're still providing the water quality requirements. So I think that answers all the questions, but I'm definitely available to answer more if I can.
Commissioner Allen, did you have any more questions?
One more, and I appreciate everybody being patient with this. These are great answers. I appreciate it. With that stormwater pond, I'm curious, how does that affect, if at all, the grading for Lot 2? Are we going to see an adverse impact there?
No, we're required to match existing grade at that what would be the eastern lot line there. So no, it doesn't impact Lot 2.
Okay.
All
Thank
right,
you.
excellent. I've got one other quick question. Is there any connectivity to the west over to the Copper Rim? I mean, your northern part of this is about equivalent to where their commercial pads are going to start just a little bit west of you. Is there any connection between the two subdivisions there?
No, because there's that overhead power easement there that really prevents us
right.
from having that physical easement. Yeah. Yep.
Okay. That's right. I forgot we had that power corridor there. Okay. That was all I had. Any other questions for the applicant or for staff?
Oh, may I add one more thing?
Please do.
Just for clarification, if you go back to the landscaping plan, I just wanted to address that tree. We really struggled to meet the block frontage requirements to get the trees in both the frontage, and actually that's why on that south kind of, you see a horseshoe shape around the detention pond, we have more trees there. And that's why we really kind of crammed them in there, and why we're proposing, I think, as part of this is, can we take some of those trees and move them to the back? And if the commission sees it appropriate because of sight vision triangles or anything else to move additional trees, there is a lot of utilities in there that we were working around, and just a lot going on that might free up that boulevard, and we'd certainly be fine basically relocating those trees north. So I just wanted to point that out, that what was driving that was really trying to meet your frontage requirements there.
Anybody have any thoughts about the trees?
Maybe a question for staff, Mr. McCandless in particular. How is this a requirement for quantity of trees? For what is the code for that?
There's two codes that come into play on trees. One is for the park strip trees, and that's based on 1 every 25 feet. And the area that Zach was talking about in this is area where there's a lot of utilities in through here. I think we'd still like to, as staff would still like to see the street trees installed along that frontage. But there's also on-site requirement, and that's 1 tree for every 2,000 square feet of landscaped area. And so they've got, I think only 5 trees are required based on the amount of landscaping that they're proposing. So they've got plenty of trees around the site to be able to move some of those elsewhere.
What is the length there? You said 1 tree every 25 feet. Is that are we looking at 125 feet across the frontage?
That's a code requirement, but I think those are spaced. If I looked at it, was spaced pretty close to what is shown here.
How long is that park strip along the south end of the property there? I think that's what Commissioner Allen was asking.
Yeah. Let me just see if I can pull it up on the landscape or on the site plan and see it actually.
Yeah, we'd calculated about 204 feet.
200.
Of frontage. Yeah.
That says right there, 228, 230.
So if I may follow up, I don't know if Commissioner Allen was going to get there to this, because I think he is. Do we have the authority as a commission to move some of those trees or allow them to move some of those trees? I'm just thinking about it. Do I want to drive down the street and see a bunch of trees, or would I rather have more trees kind of separating the different pads and kind of creating natural boundaries? For me, I'm not going to, that's just my thoughts. I don't know if that's what you were thinking, Hammond.
I like that. I also like, I mean, we've got 204 feet, I think you said, with 5 trees. They look a little bit cramped in there. And I think part of that's because of the way that the sidewalk curves in that particular area. Issues, of course, with the utilities. Can one of those trees move behind the sidewalk, but to the east?
We have on other developments, if there's a street tree requirement for the park strip, if there hasn't been room, then we've allowed them to move one of those trees that are in the park strip or that are problematic on site.
Oh, can I interject something here? And the zoning administrator has the authority, but it'd have to be applied for in Section 8 of 13412B 6H. It says an allowed modification overall landscaping requirements if the proposed modification constitutes an innovative overall landscape design which is superior to the landscaping that would result from strict application of this title. So as a planning commission, you do have the authority to grant if you feel that modification is superior to what you're seeing. Because you are an administrative body just like I am, and so if you chose to make that modification, you could. I don't know if the design has been done yet, or if you just want to leave that direct staff to have the applicant submit something to me with a design, and then I could look at it, or if you want to see it at a future meeting, I don't know.
So as a follow-up to that, Larry, then how many of these trees, or Ray, either one, how many of the trees in the horseshoe area along the detention pond were we planning on moving back? Was it 3?
Yeah, it was 3.
So if we took that one that we're talking about, specifically the entrance, and moved it back, I mean, now we're looking at 4 trees along what I would assume is probably 250 feet along that seated area in the north end. I mean, to me, that kind of makes more sense to put 4 or 5 trees back there and not have so many trees crammed at the front of the property that basically screen the building completely from the street, and then we're just seeing trees as we drive by.
So you're just talking about taking one of those trees out of the park strip, and then
Specifically the one at the entrance.
I see.
That's my thoughts. That's my thoughts. I don't know what everybody else is thinking, but as I'm looking at this, that's what makes sense to me, is to move that one tree and the other 3 that we're talking about in the U, and moving them out of the north side of the property. And that would be my thought. Anybody else have thoughts?
I absolutely agree with that. I want to make sure that we're not blocking view of the building as well as the signage to the building. by letting Les Schwab in and inviting them and having this business, we'd like to see it frequented.
I agree with this. I think moving the trees is an excellent idea. And I think the sightline, it will matter with the sightline for at least a few years. So moving it to the back makes sense to me. Or the north, I should say.
Commissioner Shelton, looks like you want to say something.
I have a question regarding the northwest access. So if we're done with the tree conversation, I'll take it up, but if not,
Yeah.
I can.
I would just say to the applicant, just, submit that paperwork to Larry and let him, as the zoning administrator, handle that on behalf of everybody.
That sounds good. We can do that, and I appreciate that. I think it's a good call for the site and just the dimensions of the site. So thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Shelton, your question.
Actually, I said northwest, I think. I meant northeast.
Off of Highlands?
Yes, so,
Okay.
yeah, right there. My question actually is regarding, what is it, lot 1 or no, lot 2 that's on the corner? Yes. Will that lot have access to that little road? That's,
Yes,
Or-
yes, absolutely. As we're going in, and we'll have to coordinate with Peterson, but as we're going in on this, we would construct that road, but then their access off of that road would be, or off of that approach would be coordinated through, planning and engineering as they went through the process.
okay. I just wanted to make sure that there was a plan to allow access off of that road, because I don't see any other real feasible, viable access other than that road, at least for that lot. That's all I had. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Any other questions or motion?
I'd be willing to make a motion.
Commissioner Allen, go ahead.
Based on the findings set forth in the staff report, I move that the planning commission approve the final site plan for the Les Schwab Tire Store located approximately 7800 South Highland Loop Road in the SC2 zone with the conditions listed in section 1 of the staff report, and also granting to the zoning administrator the opportunity, maybe help me out with some words here, but the ability to work with the applicant to relocate the trees in order to create a better landscape or more effective landscaping plan.
Sorry, guys. I heard Commissioner Allen's motion. Did we get a second out of that?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Sorry, I don't know why I can't get this thing to connect all day long. It's just fine until now. Any discussion to the motion by Commissioner Allen, seconded by Commissioner Hatch? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed?
Aye.
Was that an opposition?
No, that was a positive.
Okay, just trying to make sure. Okay, so we are unanimous in approving the final site plan for Les Schwab. Thank you for bringing us this new and improved version. Moving right along, our next item on the agenda, it brings us to our first public notice, our public hearing. This is item 3, but really quickly, we want to just get a motion to postpone item 6 so we can take care of that, and then we'll get back to number 3 here.
I'll make a motion to postpone item number 6, the West Jordan engineering policies and design criteria, to a future unknown date.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Commissioner Thomas. Any discussion to the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we'll go ahead and approve that motion to move item 6 to a future date. Back to item number 3, the West Jordan Business Park subdivision. This is 6580 South Airport Road, preliminary subdivision plat in an M1 zone, WJBPD LLC. Evgeny Stoyanov I just murdered that name, I'm sure, as the applicant. So we'll go ahead and turn the time over to our applicant for discussion on this.
I did not see his name on the participant list, but Eugene was supposed to be here. Is that dial-in number, is that possibly him?
We've unmuted him.
Oh,
Go
it's
ahead.
not me. For item 5.
Item 5. Okay, thank you.
Okay, well, apparently,
nobody else is here for that item. Just making sure we don't have somebody else that we weren't expecting. All right, we'll go ahead and turn this over to you then, Ms. Elgin.
okay.
Oh, admin raised his hand. Let's somebody want to unmute the admin.
Good evening, everyone. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, who is speaking?
I apologize. My name is Eugene Stoyanov.
Okay.
I'm new to Zoom. I apologize again. It's not something that we're used to. I don't know if you can see me on the camera.
We cannot, but we can hear you. So
Wonderful.
That will work just as well. Go ahead and tell us what you've got for us.
So we purchased 10 acres of real estate, zone 10-1, located on Airport Road. And we are working in conjunction with our neighbors to the north, QES. They're a little bit ahead of us in the design and in the construction of a similar project to the one that we intend to build. Again, I want to apologize. English is a second language for me. So if I sound different or in any way offensive, it's not been intended. And again, terminology may lapse me because of a language barrier. Please feel free to correct me as needed.
Thank you.
So this is the proposed plan is for 2 buildings, approximately 100,000 square feet each. And the proposed use is office warehouse, I believe is the proper term in English. So the south side being small offices, and the north side on the buildings being a warehouse. So we're looking to attract multiple tenants, and for us, this is a family legacy item. Please ask me questions that you may find pertinent to the project.
You said this was for multiple tenants, then not for a single occupancy.
So there are 2 buildings in the plan. Let's see. I don't know if you can see my screen or if you can go. So
we cannot, but you can describe it to us, and then we'll get the rest of the information from Ms. Elgin.
So there's 2 buildings. We, considering especially the current economic situation, we don't know if we're going to be able to reach 1 tenant necessarily, or 2 tenants, or the possibility of having up to 6 tenants or 8 tenants per building. We intend to be one of the tenants that occupy a big part of one of the buildings. We have a construction company, one of the entities that we owe, and we currently located in 3 places, one being in Salt Lake and one in West Valley, another one in Mill Creek, and we intend to get our operations together, and we expect that our company, it's going to be able to occupy perhaps up to 30% of one of the buildings. The rest of them we expect to be occupied by one or more businesses that are, whether other tradesmen, whether a small place that has a karate studio or other family oriented business.
Any other questions for the applicant? Okay, we'll reserve some time after the public hearing if we have any other questions for you, Eugene.
Yes, sir.
All right, Ms. Elgin, please share what you got for us.
Okay, good evening, commissioners. As Eugene said, he's got a site plan in for review, but that is a staff level review for the M1 project. It is flowing very well with the project to the north. They've hired the same engineers and designers and contractors and such, so it will be just an extension of what's there. The application before you is just for the plat. They needed to dedicate 149 square feet of frontage to Airport Road so that it would line up correctly with the project to the north, QES. You can't really tell from the slide. I kind of tried to highlight a little bit of where it was, what part of it was, but it is just a teeny tiny little sliver right down Airport Road. And that's what's in front of you tonight. So if you have any questions, I'm here to answer them.
Any questions for staff?
I have a question here.
Go for it.
So Lisa, so we're not discussing anything about the building or what he's doing or what he's proposed. We're only looking at the access for the Airport Road. Is that correct?
Exactly. The application that he has for site plan review does not require planning commission review.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Okay, that's good to have. Any other questions for staff? Okay, this is our first public hearing, so if there's anybody here to speak specifically about this item number 3, please go ahead and raise your hand in the chat area, and then we will go ahead and call on you. Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing on this and bring this back to the Planning Commissioner for discussion or possible motion.
I'll make
Commissioner Hatch,
a motion.
go for it.
I move that the Planning Commission approve the preliminary subdivision plat for West Jordan Business Park Development located at 6580 South Airport Road with the conditions of approval listed on page 2 of the report.
Thank you. Commissioner Thomas? Who's that?
Go ahead, Commissioner Thomas.
Oh, I didn't say nothing, so.
I just saw him unmuted. Ammon, was that you?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Hatch, seconded by Commissioner Allen. Any discussion to the motion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we are unanimous on that. Thank you, Eugene.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving along, number 4, Oak Ridge Park Phase 5, 8082 South, 6700 West, preliminary subdivision plat for 25 lots and 2 parcels on 10.58 acres, and amending the Oak Ridge Park lots 301, 302, 404 in an R18E zone with Ivory Development as the applicant. Mr. Tolbert, are you here with us tonight? I think I saw your name in the chat. Yeah, can we make Mr. Tolbert available to speak to us? Well, it looks like I can do that. All right, can you go ahead, Skylar, can you speak to us and see if we can hear you?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, we're good to go. Hey, look at that. I figured stuff out. I'm still learning here.
You just can't see me. I've got my video on unless you can.
I don't see a way for me to be able to do that. So we'll just go ahead and listen to you, and then we'll let Mr. Page give us his presentation when it's time, or whoever's speaking on his behalf. So, oh, we lost him. And he's back.
You there? Sorry.
Yep, we're good. Go right ahead. The floor is yours. Hey, we can see you now too.
There you go. I don't know what happened. It kicked me off and then it turned on my video. Appreciate it. As you're aware, this is not necessarily new. We were in front of Planning Commission a month or so ago for the general plan amendment and the rezone, and recently got those at City Council. So we're back for preliminary. I did notice one incorrect item in the staff report and in the agenda. I did talk to Kent about this, but the total number of lots is 35. It's not 25. So just wanted to make that clear. Nothing has changed since it came forward before. It was just a typo. Just don't want it to be pushed through as 25 instead of 35 lots. Other than that, I've read the staff report and it looks good. We're excited for this final phase of Oak Ridge and able to bring on some of these lots. Happy to answer any questions now or after Kent speaks with a little more detail on this, but it's exciting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Page.
Do you see him on the list?
He is on the list, but I don't see his name. I don't see him popping up his little icon here. Let me allow him to talk and see if that moves him. There we go. Kent, can you hear us? There we
Yes,
go.
I can.
Sorry, I'm learning how to be the lead guy on this, and I've got a big meeting on Thursday, so maybe I better figure this out sooner than later.
That's okay. So yeah, this property, as Skylar just mentioned, was just recently changed. The land use map and the zoning map were changed from the public facilities, to medium density residential and the zoning of R1 8E. Originally, this property was planned to be a school site. And then with the change from the school site to just regular development, it made it necessary for us to amend 3 lots. 2 were in phase 3 and 1 lot that was in phase 4 to line up with the proposed preliminary subdivision as you see, hopefully.
Kent, do you have something to share on the screen, or because we're not seeing anything right now? So
I'm not seeing that option.
No, we just lost him. There it is.
I've got the plat pulled up. Would you like me to share my screen so you could at least see the plat?
yeah, either do that, Skylar, or I can share a screen. So what I think the
I
subdivision.
promoted him into panelist, so he should be here shortly.
Oh, and we've got a copy of the plat in the staff packet. We can just pull up. I'm looking at it right now. There we go.
You should be able to see the preliminary plat.
Yep.
Okay.
Ken, did you have anything more to add? Did you want to show us those several lots that were amended to make this work?
Yeah, let's see if you can see my pointer.
We can't. We're actually seeing Skylar's screen, not yours.
Oh, okay. So it's 525 there on the far west, and on the south side of 8100 South, it's the 524. And then they had to realign one of the lots that was in between the 525 and amend the lot that was just to the north of 525 to make the alignment. I should have had the phase 3 plat up for you see it so you could see that.
Maybe I can, we had 3 lots there that we put on hold with the anticipation that this would happen. So we've eliminated 1 lot where 8100 South comes through and connects into the road that's already there. And what you see now is 525 and 524. Those were part of phase 3 and 4. Both of those lots have gotten bigger is what the net effect have had on those 2 lots.
Chair, that is shown on page 6 of our packet.
Okay. Yeah, Ken, did you have anything else you wanted to add, or should we do questions here?
Not right now, but I'd be glad to try to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions for staff?
I have a question.
Go for it, Commissioner Shelton.
Is street parking allowed in this development?
It is.
Any other questions? Okay, we'll go ahead and open this up to the public hearing. If you're here to speak on item number 4 tonight regarding this subdivision, please raise your hand and we'll call on you. Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing for this item and bring this back to the Planning Commission for further discussion or possible motion.
Chair, if I could ask a question.
Yes.
Either staff or Skylar, I think, could answer this if he's still available. The parcel A, that's a trail, if I remember right.
Yeah, parcel A, it is. It's roughly 22 feet wide, and it'll have a sidewalk that goes from 6780 west to 6730 west. It'll just be a little meandering sidewalk. The reason it's there is we've piped the drainage ditch instead of leaving it open. One of City Council's major concerns with that was health and safety being behind the lots. So we've piped it. We actually had a meeting earlier today with staff talking about that, but that's exactly what it will be. The city will have access to it. The HOA will maintain it, and it'll just have a meandering sidewalk through there.
Okay. So a question for staff now on that regard. One of the things that I've often heard from other cities as I've talked to them about trails is there will be, they don't like corridors. So if all the lots around this were to fence both ends of that parcel A, you'd end up with a 22-foot wide alley essentially, which I from what I understand, other cities look at that and say this is a crime area essentially, or potential crime area. What do we see within West Jordan?
That's a good question. I've heard that argument in the past about trails. However, I've seen some studies that have actually proven that adjacent properties to trails actually have less crime if we can make it an inviting area for people to be in that area, if it be lit right properly, or have some attractive landscaping that could actually reduce crime.
Okay, and I suspect in this situation where it is an HOA maintained trail walkway, I would not foresee that kind of an issue, but I wanted to make sure it's something that we had considered. So with that, I'm okay with this. I'd be willing to make a motion if there's no other discussion.
I think you're okay. Go for it.
All right. I move that the Planning Commission approve Oak Ridge Park Phase 5 preliminary major subdivision located 8082 South, 6700 West.
I'll make a second.
All right. Motion by Commissioner Allen, seconded by Commissioner Thomas. Hey, really quickly, Larry, who is Mark Murdoch? Is he related to this, or is he? Do we not know who he is?
Mark Murdoch is with the next item.
Okay. Well, you know what? Yeah, you wanted item 5, I believe. So we're closed on the public hearing for this notice anyway, on this item anyway. So any discussion to the motion? All right, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we are unanimous on this item. Thank you, Skylar.
Thank you.
Moving right along, we will go ahead into item number 5, which is MJ Project 1, 6835 West New Bingham Highway General Land Use Map Amendment for approximately 9 acres from parks and open land to light industrial, and rezone approximately 60 acres from A20 to M1. Gardner Company, Ben Seastrand is the applicant. I believe I saw Ben's name on the attendees list. Ben, you are set to go. You want to unmute your mic? You're ready to go.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Excellent, thank you. Mark Murdoch, who he's probably going to want to chime in too. He's my counterpart at the Gardner Company, but
Do I need to make him available to speak then? Is that what we should do here?
yeah, we can do that too.
Okay, you guys are both available. Just chime in with each other, however you want to do that.
Great. Hey, thanks. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to raise my hand. I'm so sorry, Skylar. I wasn't trying to say anything about the last item, so I apologize. Do you, sorry, did you want us to present, or was someone?
Yeah, you guys can go ahead and start.
Okay.
Whether Ben or Mark wants to do it, that's
your
guys' choice.
Yeah, let me just introduce myself. I'm Mark with the Gardner Company, and I'm trying to see why you can't see my video, but I'm not seeing a video option. But we are really grateful to be here tonight. We are working with Mike Jones and company to help develop this property. And we have been working for quite a while across the street in Midvale. And so we're really excited to be here in West Jordan. You may have seen some of the stuff we've done in Midvale with kind of like the overstock and stuff like that. But we're super excited to be here, and we're excited to be part of this project. It's pretty basic tonight that basically just a simple rezone is what we're starting. And we're happy to answer any questions, but we'll let staff take it from here. But we appreciate you guys letting us be part of this project.
Okay, we'll go ahead and turn this over to Larry.
All right, let me share my screen real quick. Let's see if that's the right one. All right. So as you can see, the property on the left or the let's see if I can get this to start. All right, so the property on the left-hand side is what the land use map is currently, how it's currently planned. So the area they're asking to rezone is mostly light industrial. There is this ribbon of parks and open land running through the property. It's a low spot in the property, and I'll switch here in a second to the aerial view, and I can kind of give you a bigger picture item. But the one to the right is what they're asking to rezone, and of course that's assuming that the parks and open land designation is removed from the general plan land use map. And so it'd be about 60 acres right on the corner of New Bingham Highway and Bacchus Highway, to be just north of the current project Lone Star that is being under construction and will probably open probably open here in the fall. I think that's their so what can you see? Can you see the land use map, or if can you see the map I've got open now on the screen?
Yeah, we can just see the double map is all we can see.
Okay. Let's do a new share. There we go. All right, can you see this one now? See my cursor moving? So you can see this parks and open land. I think while the intent is good, the practicality of it really doesn't make a lot of sense. What it is it's really a low spot in the Jones dry farm here. I've traced this back, and it looks like there may have been some drainage corridor up here, and this very, very deep hole that's probably over 100 feet deep. Now it's a gravel pit that's been completely wiped out, and I think it probably came through here, and then, but the roads have changed it. And I'm not arguing that it's not a drainage corridor, that water doesn't go in there, because it does, but as a trail system or parks and open land system where the land use map has this light industrial, I just think the practicality is not. I just think that there's better energy put towards trail systems in other areas of the city. And so that is my logic for having this removed from this industrial piece, because the drainage will be accomplished by piping, and that won't be ignored by any stretch of the imagination. But this open corridor I don't think is very good for industrial areas. And so basically the rezone would be about up into here. I did receive a couple of phone calls from people that live in Echo Ridge here today that were concerned that this whole area was being rezoned, which is not the case tonight. It'll be just about to here. This future park will stay. That is something the city has interest in, or at least it'll be the city council's decision in the future. But if those people are watching, I just want to assure them that this future park is not being changed on the land use map at this time. And the closest that this warehouse property would be is about a half a mile from the closest house. So it'd be half a mile west from the closest home. There'll still be a substantial amount of open farm ground between the property, between the future warehouse and the homes at Echo Ridge. It really, the applicant's proposing a large, probably 250,000 square foot warehouse distribution center. It's a use that is suitable for the light industrial zone. Right now, the property is zoned A20. Changing it to light industrial is appropriate because that's what is on the general plan land use map. And I really don't think I have any other comments, but staff recommends the Planning Commission forward a positive recommendation to the City Council on this application. And do you have any questions for me?
Any questions for staff?
Perhaps just a point of clarification.
We'll go Commissioner Allen, then Commissioner Thomas.
Thanks. Larry, I think you just answered this for me, but I just want to make sure I understand. What we're looking at right now on your screen is the current general land use map.
Correct.
But the actual zoning right now is A20.
Correct.
We're just saying it needs to be light industrial, so we're taking care of that at this point in time too.
And a lot of people don't own agricultural properties to an industrial or commercial zone until it's actually, they have a proposal because property taxes get outrageous, and I don't think that they can stay in a greenbelt property tax situation. So that's the reason that it's not.
Okay, thank you.
The land use map is.
Commissioner Thomas.
I just had a quick question about the parks and open land. Is there any recommendations to, since we're taking this section out of the master plan, to add another section somewhere else to the master plan?
I think as we go to the north, what is being proposed through this area, through the Jones Ranch area, will be a spectacular connection to the Ochre. So it'll come down through this corridor. Then there'll also be a trail system to the north. So there'll be two major trail systems along these roads as they're developed. We plan on putting in trail systems along the arterials. That may be a little ways in the future, but I think it would come quicker than any kind of trail system would here. It really doesn't connect with anything, and so it's just kind of a ribbon of land that's just there. There was no attempt made when Echo Ridge went in to establish a trail corridor through here. So like I said, I think it was the intent was good, but the practicality or maybe in pragmatically, it's not the best area for a trail. So the city is not lacking on trail plans. We have trail plans, the Bonneville Shoreline Trail. If this research business park goes in, there'd be trail systems all throughout there also, Jay. And so
I just want to make sure that if we're taking a green space away from one area, we are still addressing it and adding it to another area.
Understood. Yeah.
All right. Any other questions for staff?
Could you clarify for me the green ribbon of parks and open land? About how far into that light industrial plot are you requesting the change, or is it the entire light industrial all the way down to the future park where we want to change that?
No, it'd be the whole length. it'd be this from U111 to the edge of Echo Ridge here, not including this future park area. In fact, that could probably stay as parks and open land right there because it's adjacent to the water tank and this future park that the city has interest in developing. So it'll probably be from Bacchus, you're correct, Kent, to the edge of the city property, water tank property. So
That's what I would like to see, and I'd like to make sure that's clear that.
And I
as we
think
forward a
if
recommendation.
as I go back in my staff report, I think that that's what it does say. But before it goes to the city council, I'll double check and make sure that is the case. So.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions for staff? Those are good questions. Okay, we will go ahead and open this up to the public for any comments. I believe 2554 said he was here for that one. So we'll go ahead and let you go first. Just remember to state your name and address for the record, and then go ahead and you've got 3 minutes to share your thoughts.
Okay, this is Mike Jones. I represent the Merlin Jones family. We're the owners of the property. And I just like to thank the city staff for the work they've done on this and the team that I've worked to put this project together. And I think this is going to be a great benefit to the city as a whole and to the family. And we're just appreciate the opportunity of presenting this to the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else here to speak on this item?
So Matt, the two people that left messages for me are Richard Bizanson and Amy Knudsen, and I forwarded both of those messages to Julie, and she'll make sure that they are recognized as part of the minutes.
We've got Richard on. Richard, I'm going to go ahead and unmute you. Would you like to share your thoughts since you're here with us?
I just have concerns with, I mean, I don't know what it's going to look like. I just hope there's some thought and consideration put into as far as what's going to butt up against our future park. Cause I live in a home that looks out across this beautiful farmland, and it's kind of fun to see the antelopes walking across there every morning. So I know I'm going to lose that, and it's unfortunate, but I mean, I understand he's got to do stuff for the city, but just hope there'll be some thought and consideration into what's going to go up against that park there. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Anybody else that wants to share their thoughts? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing for this and acknowledge that we'll also see those notes from the two, including Richard, who just spoke. We'll see those notes show up in our minutes for this comment or for this item. Bring this back to the Planning Commission for any further discussion or possible motion.
I'll go ahead and make a motion.
Thank you.
It looks like there's two that need to be made.
Yes, we'll handle them one at a time.
Will do. Based on the information and findings set forth in the staff report and upon the evidence and explanations received today, I move that the Planning Commission forward a positive recommendation to the City Council to amend the future land use map on approximately 9 acres from parks and open land to light industrial on property located approximately 6835 West New Bingham Highway.
I'll second that.
Thank you. We have a motion by Commissioner Hatch, seconded by Commissioner England. Any discussion to the motion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we are unanimous on that first one. Go ahead, Commissioner Hatch.
Based on the information and findings set forth in the staff report and upon the evidence and explanations received today, I move that the Planning Commission forward a positive recommendation to the City Council to rezone approximately 60 acres from A-20 agricultural 20-acre lots, zone M1 light manufacturing zone on property located approximately 6835 West New Bingham Highway.
And I'll second that one as well.
Thank you. Again, motion by Commissioner Hatch, seconded by Commissioner England. Any discussion to this motion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we are unanimous on both of those. I think this is a good fit. So thank you for coming in and sharing your thoughts with us on this.
Thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. I'm sure we'll be back in front of you before you know
Well,
it.
I'm sure we'll see you soon, hopefully in person next time.
Okay, have a great evening.
You too. We've already moved to item number 6, so we'll move on to item number 7, the text amendment to amend the 2009 City Code Title 13, 6D, Hillside Development Overlay Zone, establishing a hillside classification map that shows areas where the overlay is in effect with citywide applicability. City of West Jordan is the applicant. So Mr. Gardner, you are on again. Larry, you're on mute just in case you're speaking to us.
I was actually swearing, but I'm not anymore. So
Well, I appreciate you not doing that.
So I'm assuming you can see.
Yes.
And Duncan, if you'll chime in here, if I miss anything, I would appreciate it. But the city has a hillside overlay zone that was adopted many, many years ago. And it's an overlay zone. And the assumption at the time is that the overlay was over the entire portion of the city or entire city boundaries. But that was never articulated or illustrated on any map in the city. And so with development coming into the hills here, it runs into some challenges as far as protecting 30% slopes, not allowed destruction of hillsides, first of all, cutting the toe of the slope, building houses on ridge lines, or water tanks or other public facilities in an effort to not only protect the city from flooding, because all of these hills eventually end into some type of wash system, flooding, and also to protect the beauty of the hillsides that are up against the Oquirrh Mountains. And so on advice from our legal counsel, we're asked to overlay this zone in the area as you've seen illustrated on the map, and to describe it, it'd be from the west side of Bacchus Highway to the boundary of the city, which abuts, this is all Kennecott land up in here. So it'd be from to the west, and you can see the property juts in and out from the current boundary of the city at about the northern boundary, I'll say, to the southern boundary, which is Old Bingham Highway. And so that's really all it is an amendment to the land use map, showing this overlay on the land use map. It's pretty simple. You'd be recommending this to the city council, and staff recommends that you forward a positive recommendation to the council. Duncan, did I miss anything that you think is relevant?
No, I think you covered it all. So, and obviously this might become relevant to a lot of the applications that come up in the near future, which will be within this area. We need this map to be able to identify the areas that this already existing overlay zone is applicable to. So.
Yeah.
Any questions, Steph?
I just got a quick question for Duncan. This overlay, when they annex that northern area, would we have to add that to the overlay plan too, or how would we address all that?
Yes, typically when land is annexed, it's also zoned at the same time. And so whatever zone it's given, then obviously then this overlay zone would also be given at the same time. So it would have to be addressed at the time of annexation and zone designation. Then this would just be identified at that same moment for that property that's being annexed.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
I got just a general question regarding overlay zones generally. Okay, so we've got a code here for the hillside development overlay zone. I read through that, and that's been existing for a long time. So without it showing up on a map, does that mean that the code just doesn't mean anything? How did that work before?
Well, basically, there was some ambiguity as to the applicability, and that's what Larry's identified as we're making it clear under the code as to the portions of the city that that's applicable to. Right now, it's not completely identified. If this is approved tonight, then it would be. So it was just left unintentionally ambiguous before, is how I would explain it.
Yeah, and I think, Duncan, correct me if I'm wrong, but the cities used to do that because under state law, the city would always prevail. But under the new portions of or new Land Use and Development Management Act, if something is not clear, then usually the decision in the court goes to the developer or the property owner. And so we need to be very clear on what we're talking about in the future.
That's probably a more accurate answer to your question that Larry just gave, especially after the amendments in the year 2015 to the Land Use Development Management Act, that now it's required that we be more specific, whereas before it wasn't. So,
are there other overlay zones within the city that we need to do something similar with?
I think most of them have been implemented. The airport overlay zone, the transit or overlay zone. This was only one that was really, I think it was almost treated as a regulation and not so much a zone. And so now we need to treat it as a zone with the regulations attached to it. And so now, so all the rest of them would be treated as overlays. So
that was very educational. Thank you.
I would make a note as I'm looking at the minutes here, and it's just a ticky-tack thing, but I don't see Duncan's signature on the staff report there. I don't know if that's important or not, but
well, he was fighting this tooth and nail. He didn't want to deal
I'm
with
sure he
it.
was.
No, it was really my haste in trying to get Julie. Julie takes so little vacation that to get her out the door, so she wouldn't come in.
Yeah, I thought had input approved it. I just didn't officially get my signature on it.
Yeah, that's what I figured. I just wanted to make a point to have you get it signed if it was necessary. I assume it would be, or you wouldn't have your signature line on there. So, okay. Any other questions for staff? All right, this is our last public notice or public hearing, so we'll go ahead and open this up for any public comments. If you're here to speak on this item, speak now or forever hold your peace. All right, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing for this item, bring this back to the Planning Commission for discussion or motion.
I'll make a motion if everybody's ready.
Go for it.
I'd be happy to.
Based on the information and findings set forth in the staff report and upon the evidence and explanations received today, I move that the Planning Commission forward a positive recommendation to rezone the area illustrated to the hillside overlay. Do you want the specific?
No, that's good.
That's good.
Okay.
Looking for a second.
I'll second it.
All right, motion by Commissioner Thomas, seconded by Commissioner Shelton. Any discussion to this motion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
All right, that was a kind of a delayed one. I'm assuming that was just chiming in a little bit on the delay on my side. So we are unanimous on that one. So that concludes our meeting for the evening. Unless anybody else has something else that they want to share.
Thanks, everybody.
I will entertain a motion to adjourn until the 19th.
I'll make that motion to adjourn.
Excellent. We are adjourned until the 19th. Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.
Thank you.